Thank you
Hello.
very much for giving me the virtual stage. We are going to discuss in the next minute about how artificial intelligence can help in the peer review process. And of course, there are some pros and there are some cons. I have no conflict of interest except the fact that I am deputy editor of ICM, so I might have a vision which is mainly related to ICM, but I'm not talking in this time on behalf of a journal. So everything you will hear are my own view. The reviewer process and especially finding review is such a difficult job because being a reviewer is difficult. It requires a lot of responsibility. It's incredibly time consuming. There are papers which demonstrate an average of 4 hours for the reviewer process has very strict deadlines with a lot of reminders, and it's absolutely for free. So I really like this piece because it describes exactly how all of us, I believe, we have felt at least once in our life. It describes a researcher which sits at her desk, and it's a Friday afternoon. The job is nearly over. The weekend is gonna start, and she's gonna think what is gonna happen in the week, and an email notification interrupt her trainer throws because there is a request for review, the third one in a week. So the question is really what takes the priority because it is true and it is honest that when we accept a review request, it is often with a reluctant mood. It's because of the duty, guilt, hope of reciprocant, because what we feel is like a sort of distraction for more relevant activities and career. And there is a survey from Nature Publishing Group which demonstrate that according to the 80% of the researcher, the standard and traditional peer review process should be at least implemented. So we need to change or implement something in this. In fact, the number of declination or in terms of revisions is very, very high. This is a survey. And if you look at the reasons for refusing to review a paper, the main reason is the lack of time and the fact that it's very time consuming, regardless the fact that there is or there is not an interest in the paper. And on the other hand, the reasons for accepting to review are mainly regarding the interest for the paper, for the topic, and to help the research field. But still, I believe that in our era, the fact that this is very time consuming is a very big issue. So what I believe is that we should help the revision progress and the revision process through the use of incentives, which can be non-financial or financial. This is a study which put together the ideas and the consensus of different scientists regarding which can be the incentives for the revision process. Some of these can be just acknowledgement, feedback, etc. And you might be surprised, but I was not about the fact that financial incentives are not so important for the physicians. The real problem is the time. So we need a tool, we need something which can help us to improve, not just in finding the reviewers, but to make much quicker the process of revisions. With Samir Jabier, we wrote this editorial regarding the incentivization of a review process. And we have put together a number of steps and the point which can serve as paving the way for improving this process, which takes in consideration the guidance, the training, the incentives that we have to give to the reviewer, a clarity in terms of the scope of a journal, but we also discuss the leverage of chatbot assistance. And after this editorial, we received a very, very smart letter from this group, Sami Barrett and his colleague, and they went much more in details regarding the importance of artificial intelligence in scientific publishing and in the peer review process. And they have put together this very nice figure, in my opinion, where basically it is described how much artificial intelligence can help authors, the publishers, the editors, and the reviewers. Starting from the beginning, it can really help the authors, potentially. It can help in manuscript drafting and submission through a pre-checking. So formatting, for instance, the compliance of the formatting, the journal scope adherence, suggesting some citations and suggesting some language improvement. Then they can help in the initial screening. So after the manuscript submission, when there is the editor assignment and the peer review recruitment. This is a very crucial phase in the editorial phase. Artificial intelligence can help in the pre-checking, so scientific integrity, compliance to the instruction to the authors, relevance of the references, and can suggest, for instance, the right editor and the right reviewers which can match according to the type of paper, to the topic that it has been chosen. Next step is the peer review, which is one of the most crucial issues. Peer review, as you know, go from the editorial supervision to the reviewers, and there is a sort of feedback. And even in this case, artificial intelligence can help in a pre-check of the reviewers' comments and authors' response alignment, in the definition of a conflict of interest, and can suggest a review or revision summary or editorial guidance. And this up to the editorial decisions, so until the end of this, when we are at the moment of proofreadings and of a publication of post-publication outreach for final manuscript formatting, copy editing, typesetting, avoidance of mistake, and the creation of graphical abstract. So this was a very smart editorial, and we replied to this editorial. And what we said was, yes, you are absolutely right, because the potentials of artificial intelligence are incredible nowadays, but we have to be careful. So it was basically, this letter was a call for a tendency to be extremely careful, because it's true that there are some incredible potential, some pros and cons. You see here, I asked to artificial intelligence which are the pros and cons, and I thought about this a lot. But we need to be careful about avoiding mistakes using just artificial intelligence. So, which are the pros of AI in the editorial process? Automated plagiarism detection, for sure. This is quite important nowadays. Grammar and syntax checking, content analysis, methodology, statistics, relevance, reviewer assignment and matching, streamlining of the review process. These are all very important points. And if you think about this, just the human behavior and the human brain may miss some of these points or may make mistakes. So the benefits, let's say the pros, are the efficiency, because we all know that artificial intelligence can automate repetitive tasks. So plagiarism is quite easy to be detected through artificial intelligence. Grammar checking is another quite easy tool for artificial intelligence. Consistency. So the AI can apply consistent criteria and standards, can reduce the variability in the reviews. It's quick. Artificial intelligence can process a huge number of submissions very, very quickly. So this would avoid all the time consuming phase of the reviewers, of the editors, etc. Scalability, because it can handle a high volume of submissions, making it suitable for large-scale review process, and it is objective. Even if we feel, and we are obviously very fair, even in an unconscious way, we might have some bias, and this can be reduced with the use of AI. These are the most used tools that are used in terms of AI in peer review. I authenticate, and are the two that are generally used nowadays. One is for the grammar, one is for the plagiarism. But of course, there are also some challenges in the pros, in the good things that the AI can do, because there are some concerns regarding the fact that AI can replace human reviewers, human feeling, human being, human knowledge. And there are challenges in addressing the potential biases in AI-powered review. And then there are also a number of cons in the use of artificial intelligence in peer review. One is the lack of nuance. AI may struggle to understand some complex or complexity of the research, and in this case can lead to a not too much accurate assessment. There is a bias even in the AI system because AI system can inherit biases from their training, and this can somehow reduce the fairness of the review process. There are also limited context understanding, so AI may not fully understand the context of the relevance of the research. This can lead to misinterpretation. There is a dependence on data quality because the effectiveness of AI depends on the quality of the diversity of the data used to train it. And there is, of course, this is very important to me personally, a huge lack of human judgment because there is no machine, in my opinion, which can replace the human thinking and the human judgment. So how can we mitigate the cons of AI in the review process? I think the hybrid approach, in my opinion, is probably the best choice because it can combine the pros of AI with the strength of a human being, a human feeling, thus reducing the time which is required to the editor or to the reviewer to work on a paper. Continuous training, this is again another very important point to reduce bias and to improve performance and transparencies. And I believe that it's very important that we all know both the pros and the cons in order to avoid to make huge mistakes. So some weeks ago, I was reading this very beautiful paper from Miriam Nadaf from Nature. And she was challenging a bit the use of artificial intelligence in the reviewer process. And she called it a sort of reviewer too, you know, the very bad reviewer too. And led the case of a scientist who submitted a paper and received the reviewers' comments. And one of the comments of the reviewers was clearly an AI because the first sentence of his review was, here is a revised version of your review with improved clarity and structure. So it was absolutely clear that that was an AI system. But the use of AI in peer review is incredibly improving and increasing. Nearly 20% of researchers have used AI to increase the speed and the quality of their review. And there are also some data that from 7 to 17% of papers submit to conferences, these are data from 2023, were edited and were managed with artificial intelligence. So all the editorial systems have tried to understand this, have tried to understand what is acceptable or not acceptable, because there are also some extreme view which can be understandable. This is a part of a paper that I showed you before, and what the author says that I'm not comfortable with the idea of AI write entire peer reviews. And when asking through a survey to 300 of researchers, this was a very nice experiment. A peer reviewed a paper done by another scientist or done by AI. And it was asked to the researcher, how do you think, which do you think is the best peer review that you received? And there was, in average, okay, a slightly more tendency to like and to approve more the review done by humans. As human reviews, as putting the topic in the context, etc. And because of this, if you look at different top medical journals and different strategies, some journals like Elsevier has completely banned the use of artificial intelligence. Springer has a little more open view, but at the same time, it has to be declared and with very, very strong limitations. But apart from this, And I think we have discussed the pros and the cons. My personal view is that AI can be a help, but if we want to really improve the reviewer process, we need to think about some humanization factors together with AI, because I don't think that we take care too much about our reviewers. So first of all, we have to be more clear about the scope of a journal. Sometimes reviewers are very confused, and this may lead to a misunderstanding of what we want and what they want to provide. We need to provide them a guidance for peer review, and in this, AI can really be helpful to create a structure, to help them in a structure. So together with them, provide a guidance on manuscript flows and quality manuscript, and even in this case, AI can really help with some red flags. Provide a template to fill with simple yes or no questions. And again, in this case, AI can really help. Provide some training programs and provide some incentives. And again, as discussed before, probably acknowledgement or other types of incentives work much more than the economical incentives. And finally, acknowledge the reviewer because they are doing a very huge job, and they are doing it for free. So as a conclusions, AI is increasingly being used in the review process, can have a huge potential, can have a lot of utilization from the preparation of a manuscript to until to the acceptance of a manuscript. There are a lot of pros, but there are a lot of cons. I believe that in this historical moment, we are really in a moment when AI is developing a lot, but we are not still able to manage it and to use it properly. So I believe that we are in a phase where we are still trying to learn how responsibly apply AI to many fields, included the peer review. And I thank you for your attention.